What's up, everybody? This is another episode of Bassman Outdoors. I got my buddy Jordan with me here this time. We're going to be talking about the late winter to spring transition, and not just the early spring transition. We're going to be talking about the baits that we use throughout the whole spring till the summer transition. The summer transition we will hit up in another video later in the year. So first we're going to start with our reds, and I'll let Jordan talk about some of his he's got.
Alright, so I've got this Strike King right here. It's supposed to go 3 to 5 feet deep. It'll be great for spring. First of all, the red colors will always be great for spring because
early spring,
as you guys know, early spring. As you guys know, they tend to look a lot like crawfish. So I've got this one right here, and then I've got my little red shad, as you can see.
All right, so what I'm going with mine now. Like Jordan, I got my little red rattle trap, and I got also two Berkley divers. This one is the 5.5 square bill. This is the Bad Shad 8.5. Now, with the reds, like he was saying, they mimic the crawdads at the beginning of the year because those crawdads are just coming up out of the ground. They've been in the dirt and in the clay, and they got that red tint to them. And yes, it does fade as the year goes on. A second color and everything we're going to go with now is shad colors. These guys right here.
That would be all these big boys.
Yeah. And you're going to notice that me and him use the same similar color when it comes to these shad. And the reason I like here I got 3 different KVDs all in the same color. I got the 1.5, the 5XD, and the 2.5 square bill. The reason we like to go with these colors is they're not just a spring color, they're a good all year round color. Now, the reason early spring, along with my crawdads, I would go with this deep diving crank for early spring is because the bass are still somewhat down low. They're starting to come up, but they're still kind of down low. And shad cannot stay still all year round like bass can. They have to constantly keep moving, so they are still somewhat feeding on shad. So you still get something down there deep around them, and it looks like a shad, well, go for it. Now, kind of getting up into the early part of, or later, mid part of spring is when those bass are going to start coming up, and they're going to start getting more into the shallows. And usually what we go with is jigs. So you go ahead and talk about.
So this right here is a nice little chatterbait. The blue and blacks work really well. It's just the way the sunlight will hit it. It'll give it that silhouette.
And it also gives the vibration.
Yep, I think you stated that in one of your videos, actually.
Yeah. Actually, I have not touched up on the chatterbait too much.
So I've got
I was kind of happy you brought
chatterbait.
it up.
It's this right here. That will catch sunlight as well, and it'll reflect really well. This is just a rattler. I'm not sure if you can hear it, but same exact effect, just that rattle noise rather than the metal clanking vibrations. Yeah.
As far as jigs for me, I also stick with the black and blue color. I got a black and blue chatterbait like he's got there, and I've used it in the spring and had success with it. But usually I tend to go with, like, this is a JC Huntington swim jig with also the black and blue. And then we got our Steve-O Strikers half-ounce football head jig, also black and blue. Now, the reason I like to go with jigs early, especially towards the month of March, mid-March, and early April is when the rain starts to come in, especially around here, and he's seen it too.
Yeah.
The water's still chilly, but it's muddy. Now, a lot of people, they see muddy water and they think bass. A lot of people kind of back off and not fish as much. I used to be the same way. But what I started to learn is how those bass tend to position in that water, and I was actually very surprised by it. They will actually, when the water's a little chilly but cloudy, they will get up as shallow as they can. That's why I like these jigs. You can throw them up right up against the bank and just drag them back down to where those fish are. Now, muddy water, especially on a sunny day, that, anybody knows, dark colors is what's going to get it. Because you get, like he was saying, you get that silhouette. Now, still early spring, late winter, and this is also an all-year-round bait, you can't leave out the Ned rig. Just on a little crawdad, little Ned rig worm, TRDs, whatever you want to use them for. Now, later in the year, crawfish start to change color from, like we were talking about, this red to more of a brown. They might still have a little bit of a lighter tint to them. And you can go with the green, like he's got there. Or, like what I like to go with, the Steve-O Strikers brown and orange crawdaddy color. And also I got a trailer on there that has the orange sparkles. That's kind of a brown. And those are another lure I really like to go with. Another lure that I'm kind of new to, I've used them a little bit in the past, and I've mentioned them before in another video that I think are going to go good for this year, are the Steve-O Strikers scented brush hog creature baits.
I'm excited to see how those do.
Yeah, so am I. Because they, like I mentioned, they have the scent in the plastic. It's not just sprayed on there where it'll come off easy. It is enveloped in the plastic in the mold. So they will hold their scent a lot better. He makes multiple colors. As far as jig goes from Steve-O Strikers, there is something I do want to mention. They're coming out with a new color here soon.
I'm excited.
Yeah. That we and them kind of talked about, that I've noticed that they weren't making, and I don't see a lot of companies make this, and probably maybe somebody else has, but they're coming out for early spring. It seems to me everybody goes with these red crankbaits. A lot of companies make these red crankbaits. This time of year, they're popular. But what I seem to notice is not a lot of people make a red jig. So I talked to Steve-O Strikers. I threw that out there. I'm like, hey, why not make a red jig? So they got that in the works right now. They're making 2 versions. They're also going to be making the swing tail that I showed in the other video. They're going to make a red version of that. And they're going to be making 2 versions of the football head that are red. They will have a bit of a red and orange to mimic a very early time of year crawdad. And then when it gets a little bit later, but the red is still working, they're going to do a red and black to kind of make more of a mellower red color. Now, getting a little later in the spring, another one I like to throw out that he's had some luck with before, rubber worms, especially finesse worms, whether it's drop shot, Texas rig, Carolina rig, whatever you want to do with them. This year, I will be definitely going with the J.C. Huntington finesse worms.
I really want to try that plum.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, both of the plums, really.
Oh, yeah.
This is the electric plum. It's kind of a darker color, also good for your muddy water. You get that dark silhouette like I mentioned in the J.C. Huntington video. Then you got your plum crazy, which is very purple looking, but when light hits it, it takes on a bit of a blue tint.
So the outer layer of it kind of looks translucent, but you can still see the blue.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
It kind of takes on a color change, really.
Yep,
it's kind of cool.
Go.
And then you got your bright orange, your orange sherbet. And then you have the ever popular color, the watermelon candy. Another good dark water, muddy water color. The reason also I say these work really good in early spring to throughout spring and into the summer is because, just like my jigs, I can Texas rig them and I can throw them right up there in that mud. And especially in April, the rains come down, it's washing stuff in the water, worms, what have you. You could throw that up against the mud or in the bank, up high in the mud, and just crank that lure out, just Texas rig it and drag it. They're going to see it and grab that thing right off the bottom. Now, getting later into the spring, I have another lure that I'd like to talk about, and this is from a different company. This is from True Bass Swim Baits. And this is their yellow color. I got some other colors that I will do a touch-up video on. Jordan, have you tried one of these yet?
I have not, but I have used the white ones.
Yeah. So, and you've seen me use these. You know how they do. Now, the reason I say this for spring, even though it also can be very much a summer lure, around here, the spawn is in early mid-May, somewhere around there. Those big females are protecting their nest. They are sitting on those nests. And anybody who fishes the spawn, they know how those bass are going to react. They're going to be sitting over their eggs, and little bluegill and stuff like that try to come in and eat the eggs. Well, when you get something that looks like this, and they also got some new heads coming out, I will put the link for all these companies, all the sponsored companies in the description for this. But this is for, you can throw this on those beds. Now, this is going to look like a little fish wanting to come in, check out the nest, everything. Around that time of year, that spawn, these will be great for getting that reaction bite when nothing else is wanting to. I think that's about what we need to cover. What do you think? You got anything you want to throw in?
I would like to throw out the fact that I have never, ever used something with a square bill that goes almost straight down. So I'm excited to kind of see how this does and show you guys how it does when we start pushing out fishing videos.
And if anybody is familiar with that type of tongue on that crankbait,
yeah, let us know.
Yeah, like, comment, anything you want to do, and let us know or message me, and I'll let it back to him, because I've never used one either. I've seen them, I've just never paid much attention to them. I'm more of a fan of just the regular square bill. So, I think we about covered as much as we want. Like I said, Stevo Strikers is coming out with that new color. So
Excited.
Yeah. Should have those up tomorrow. So check them out. I will have the link for him in the description, and the promo code for those is subscribe10. You subscribe to this video, and you do get the promo code for that. I will also have the promo code and the sites for True Bass and JC Huntington Lures. So I think that's about it.
Yep.
All right. Everything. Y'all have a good night, and we'll see you next time.